Sales Babble is sponsored by Habanero Media, a podcasting agency for B2B brands.
We all have not only the ability, but the responsibility to create humanity into everything that we do. And if selling is what we do, we can totally do that and be change makers.
This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 317, Selling to Nonprofits, an interview with Clara Carrier.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers, and today we meet Clara Carrier. Clara is a dynamic brand and marketing professional, and she's the founder of Breaking Through Consulting. She partners with nonprofits to advance the impact that they can provide by understanding and activating their purpose for social good. In this episode, Clara patiently describes how to sell to nonprofits, how to identify their mission, their why, and the best ways you can add value, support, and capacity to move their mission forward. Before we get to the interview, I want to remind you that we'll be meeting Thursday afternoon for the Sales Babble Telebabble at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. We'll be meeting other sales babblers and networking, and this week we're focusing on how to discover the why of your prospects. Don't forget to put this telebabble on your Thursday calendar. Last week, we had a terrific group who did not want to stop babbling. I spoke with some of them afterwards. They really enjoyed the value that they're getting out of these Sales Babble telebabbles. Don't be square. Be there. And so, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Clara. Are you ready to babble?
I am so ready.
You and I met at the Fox Valley Chamber of Commerce barbecue last fall, I believe.
Summer, fall.
So summer, fall, towards the end. And you and I got chit-chatting about sales and stuff like that, and you're a sales professional. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast is that you sell to nonprofits. And I don't think I've had anybody here on the podcast.
I do. I proudly do.
And I thought I would love to get your insights on that because it's unique selling to nonprofits. I used to sell to schools many years ago, and that was unique versus for-profit companies. But I was hoping maybe I'd get some insights from you. You've been in sales for a long time.
I've been selling all my life. We sell all day long, believe it or not. We sell to our children, we sell to our husbands, we sell to our friends, to our colleagues. We're in the business of selling our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. It's part of who we are. The art of selling is really negotiating for what we yearn to, for what we want, for what we desire and aspire. So it's really part of life.
The tagline for Sales Babble is selling secrets for non-sellers. People like me, I come from a technical background. People who never thought of themselves as salespeople. But you bring up a good point, I think, in that to a certain degree, we're always in the persuasion business.
Totally. Either if we're conscious or not, that's a different question. But we're all in the business of selling and putting ourselves out there to either make someone believe in what we believe or think alike, or want something that we want, or we want them to move into an action or a behavior.
In your experience, where is it different, or is it different when you're working with nonprofits?
There is. For me, sales really is an opportunity to humanize the art of selling. It's an opportunity to fulfill a common purpose. So the work that I do with nonprofits is all around the purpose, the reason why they exist, the reason why they put up and offer their programmings, their services. It's really an opportunity to meet someone exactly where they are, to meet someone and engage and listen and learn and understand and establish a relationship. It's a place where together then we can then identify if my services and what I provide and my expertise are the services and the things that they're looking forward in terms of support or improvement or to maximize, to add capacity, and to really move the organization's mission forward.
How do you figure this purpose out? Do you go look it up on their website before you meet with them? When you meet with them, do you ask them? Mm-hmm. Or what's the process that you use?
It's a combination of things. So obviously there's some research and there's some preparation in terms of me understanding where they are in the nonprofit landscape, and website content. Obviously it's a place to go, but it's really that approach of sharing and asking very specific questions. And sometimes the purpose is the mission of that organization, right? But sometimes what I've found is people are so consumed by the daily activities and by, trying to make a lot of things. And usually it's one person wearing many different hats, that the why is forgotten in the many activities and in the business of, the day. So there's a specific assessment tool that I have that actually prone those questions and those reflections. And then I'm able to see some patterns and see some clarity or not around the why and the reason to exist and how that fuels everything else as part of the organization.
An assessment.
It's an assessment.
How do you do that?
It's believe it or not, it's very simple. It's just nowadays we don't have time to stop, to breathe, and to think about questions like, why do we offer those services? What are the people that we're trying to support? What are their needs? And with those questions and with somebody wanting to really dedicate the time to go through the assessment tool, then based on a numeric, scalable process, I would be able to identify if they have clarity around the purpose, if they need to better understand it and better define it, or if they need to activate it through everything that they do.
Okay, so let's practically, you brought up 3 groups there. What are the percentages in your experience? How many people are clear about what their business, what their nonprofit's about?
I would say the majority, because they're mission-driven organizations.
So the majority of them know
why they're doing what they're doing, but they are not sprinkling it through everything that they do. And that includes their team, their staff, the partners that they work with, the services that they offer, the messaging, how they talk about the organization. The why or the purpose is really what unites people and brings people to collaborate. The why is really what's going to get a donor into your doors to be intrigued to learn more about your organization. The why is what will move that person to sign you a check or to volunteer or to become your ambassador and the champion of that cause. The purpose is what moves us into action. And if that purpose tags to my heart, then I will go for it. So that's when sales, right? Sales comes to be a tool that we use to really bring our purpose to another person and persuade them to come along and jump on board with our why.
Enrollment.
Yeah. But it's very sincere, though. It's very honest. And that's one of the things that I want to highlight is it's the opportunity that we have to really humanize the art of selling. For me, selling is more than transactional. It's more than becoming wealthy. The reason why I do this is because selling is tied to my own purpose. And that purpose is for me to make a difference, to be of influence, right? So it's an opportunity to deeply engage with people and create a very human process where I am going to build a relationship with the other person, understand an attentive listening to that person so then I can identify if what I bring to the table is indeed going to help them move forward.
So that begs a question I've been wondering. So we haven't answered this yet. What are you selling? So we've talked about that you sell to nonprofit. What products and services are you selling?
So I'm selling competencies. So I am selling the ability to help them bring their purpose as a centerpiece to everything they do so they can increase their impact, their reach, and their growth.
Oh, it's kind of like marketing branding stuff.
It's marketing and branding is part of it, right? I'm also selling project management. Sometimes if I find that they're very clear with their purpose, they might be lacking the ability to do a specific project that will help them move that purpose forward because they don't have the human or the talent or the capacity to do it. So I add capacity to their team. So that's another specific service I offer. The other one is community engagement. Sometimes it's a matter of coming in and identifying key stakeholders that they can reach out to and bring to the organization, connect them, engage them, so they can then maximize and bring the organization forward. In regards to promotions, in regards to fundraising, in regards to messaging.
In a for-profit business, a company creates a product, some widget, something, or maybe they provide some kind of service, that people find value in, right? Then they're more than happy to pay the company $1 because they know somehow they're going to make $2, $3, $4 through paying you, or save $2, $3, or $4 through paying you. That's not the case for nonprofits.
It's not. But if you think about it, within nonprofits, they sell causes that are going to have an impact and a social change. So they sell the ability to, help, the vulnerable communities, or they sell, the ability for somebody to apply to a scholarship and win a scholarship so they can further their dreams to become better and better. They sell hope.
But what does the buyer get in this deal?
So I would say the buyer in this case would be the donors.
Yes.
Right?
And what do the donors get? Where's the value exchange for them?
So we all yearn to make a difference, regardless of who you are, how much money do you have, or how much education you have. We all, as humans, yearn to make a difference. We want to make sure that at the end of our lives, we can go back and say, I did something for somebody else, or I did something that is greater than myself. So that's common to everyone. And the beautiful thing about nonprofit is there's so many causes and so many incredible missions out there that there's going to be something very special that will tag to the heart and to the core of every individual that will move them into action and into being involved with that particular cause. The world of nonprofits offers people a bridge to make an impact, an opportunity, to engage and know that either their gifts of talent or money or goods are going to benefit somebody that is in a specific season in their lives less fortunate than them. And that is true fulfillment of who we were really created to be. We're not just here to look for our own wealth and well-being. What's the point of that? At one point, that's going to get old. We are here to make a difference, to, come alongside people and then be a part of their journey when they're struggling or when they're not seeing it very clear. So it's all part of bringing our own purpose as a person, as an individual to life, and then nonprofits are an opportunity to do that.
I agree. And all the great teachers of the past have all said this, that we are most happy, we are most fulfilled in the service of others. And nonprofits, what I hear you saying, provides an opportunity for us to experience that. I was listening to Seth Godin's Akimbo podcast the other day, and he was saying that when it comes to nonprofits, that what donors really want, the value exchange they want, is status.
For some, they're looking to be recognized. They're looking to have their names on a plaque that says, thank you for your generous donation. In one way or another, we all look for recognition and affirmation, right? So that's one type of donor, right? There's other types of people give to organizations because they're motivated by different things, right? So for some people, it may be just the time that they volunteer at a food pantry. That's enough. They don't need the recognition. They don't need the pat in the shoulder. They just need the space where they can come for a couple of hours and put their own needs aside to come along other people that perhaps are struggling even more. It's a reminder of how good, we have it sometimes. And it just tugs to our heart. I mean, it brings, when you're a generous person in what you do and what you give and how you do things, you become alive. I mean, you're reminded of, the beautiful thing about humanity and the beautiful thing about growing in community and, being in community and, going through ups and downs in life.
So let's look at the flip side. What makes selling to nonprofits different than selling to for-profit companies?
It's a good question. I think there's a couple of things that work a little bit differently in the nonprofit world, and that means that there's some set of rules of compliances that may be a little bit differently than business. But in a way, and this is something that I find that nonprofit leaders struggle with, is to think about their nonprofits in business terms. The big difference is that they don't sell necessarily a product and they don't have customers. They have stakeholders and they have donors, right? But in terms of running your nonprofit, if you don't make money, you don't feel your mission. So there's a lot of different things from the business world that should be applied to the nonprofit sector. And that's a challenge. That change in your mindset, it's something that nonprofit leaders struggle to understand.
I know other people who've sold to nonprofits, the biggest struggle they have is that nonprofits don't have money. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring this up. Mm-hmm. This is
Yes. So it's a reality for many, and that's probably why at the end of the day, some nonprofits have to close their doors after X amount of years of operation, which is very unfortunate. And I think it's interesting that you bring up the question, because in the nonprofit sector, leaders need to understand that they sell. They have to sell their missions all the time, and it's not up to the person doing the marketing or the fundraising or the executive director. Everybody in the organization, from the leadership and the management to the staff to the person doing payroll or the person managing the volunteers, everybody has to become a salesperson, right? If you believe in something, if your purpose or the reason why you do it, your why, is strong enough, clear enough, it would fuel your desire and it will ignite the passion for you to become a brand ambassador. And it will naturally come to be. When somebody asks you, what you do, you're going to be empowered to tell them, this is what I do, but this is why I do it. And usually that purpose, it's integrated into that person's or that individual's purpose too. And they all have to become salespeople.
And it's interesting here, though, if we tease out all these different people here, and I've seen people in nonprofits be this way. They're very passionate about what they're at, about who they are serving. Mm-hmm. But they're not very passionate about the donors. They treat them more transactional. Mm. And actually, when you're selling to a prospective client, you have to be all about them and the feelings, and the value they get from donating to this nonprofit. And that's – have you seen that? Am I wrong here?
Yeah, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of, if I ask for too much, maybe I will, scare that person away. I think that the challenge and the opportunity is to first of all, you need to do your due diligence in studying the donor or the prospect that you want to reach out to, right? You want to do your homework and find out maybe what their likes and dislikes are. Maybe if there's like a point of passion that person will be motivated to give to your organization. Maybe is the education field, or maybe is, social services. Maybe is, the medical field. So you do need to do your homework. But at the end of the day, it is your job as a leader, but also as a salesperson, to identify the specific need that you have and translate that into a monetary amount. And then not only that, but you need to let that donor know that, first of all, the money that you're asking for is going to exactly go to where you're telling them it's going to go. Accountability, transparency, right? But then at the end of the day, you need to tell them who's going to be impacted by that. It's an investment. To them is an investment. To you is what you need to move your mission forward, right? So at the end of the day, you need to be a storyteller, and you need to have your facts, and you need to have, your homework and do your due diligence. But at the end of the day, you need to cross to the other persons and look at that person in the eye and very authentically and move by your purpose, right? Have a conversation and engage in a deep dialogue with that person. It's, at the beginning I said, bring back the human touch to that relationship and move from being just a transactional to a relationship. You may not get what you're expecting, but I guarantee you, if you change and if you shift your mind to see sales with donors or with clients as an opportunity, there's going to be one thing that you're going to be learning about when you're done with that conversation. Sales cannot be a one-way street. It can't. I wrote something in preparation for these podcasts, and I'm going to just read it because I think it's inspiring, or at least it was when I wrote it. So I hope it's okay if I do that. So I said, sales is not a one-way street. It doesn't pursue a benefit for only one of the parts involved. Sales is the white canvas where our purpose, passion, and presence are the brushes to create a vibrant, colorful, inspiring piece of art filled with meaning, emotions, empathy, and answers. So it's making it back to being an art, and you have to enjoy it, and you have to love it, and you have to be fulfilled by it, right? Because otherwise, what's the point? And I get that maybe for a lot of people, getting wealthy, it's the point. But I'm just hoping that in the crazy world that we live in, we all have not only the ability, but the responsibility to create humanity into everything that we do. And if selling is what we do, we can totally do that and be change makers while doing it. I'm getting emotional.
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
So, people want to contact you. How would they do that?
Oh, very easily. My website, very simple, breakingthroughconsulting.com, or via email, Clara, Clara, .carrier, Carrier, at breakingthroughconsulting.com.
Cool. When we were chatting before we turned on the microphones, you said there was something you wanted to give away to the audience?
Yes. For people that are listening out there, if you want to contact me, I can actually share the assessment tool that I use to determine what phase in terms of your purpose and your why you are, and then a 30-minute free consultation to see how you can move a couple of things forward in terms of, tweaks that you can do here and there, and very tangible ways that could actually enhance the way that you are running your nonprofit.
Awesome. Clara, this has been fun.
I loved it. I want to be back.
Well, we'll have to talk about that. We'll have to find out what the next topic is.
Yeah. Let's explore that.
Thanks for babbling here on Sales Babble.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. Very, very appreciated. Thank you.
Sales Babble is sponsored by Habanero Media, a podcasting agency for B2B brands. Podcasting is the easiest way to turn your executives into thought leaders with content that reaches your ideal clients. Haven't you heard that podcasting is the new blogging? Start a podcast today. Go to habaneromedia.net. That's habanero with an H, like the hot pepper. It's a hot idea. Go to habaneromedia.net and start podcasting today. I saw a great quote the other day from Alan Watts. He said something along the lines like, the goal of business is to find something that somebody will pay you so that you can play. That's exactly what Clara Carrier has done. As you can tell, she loves her clients and she loves serving them. And she has been very successful as a marketer in that business. I don't know how many times I've talked to prospective customers, and it's not clear what they're selling and who they sell to. They've been successful one way or another, but they've forgotten their way. Getting them to discern what their why is extremely valuable in better understanding ways that you can serve them. To find the show notes to Clara and the assessment that she mentioned, you can see those at www.salesbabble.com/317. That's 317. If you have a question or comment, don't hesitate to reach out and connect. And don't forget to put this Thursday on your calendar for the weekly Sales Babble Telebabble at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, and 2 o'clock Pacific time. Start working on your sales today. And oh, by the way, if you enjoyed this podcast, if you could give us a 5-star review on whatever app that you're using right now to listen to this podcast, that would be great. Word of mouth is how this podcast grows. Well, that's all I got for today. So till next week, take care and have a highly profitable and a successful selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.
This is a production of Habanero Media.